Hey, everybody. It's Tuesday night. How are we all doing? Well, we've got a few of you guys here already. It's cool. Tavo, good to have you here all the way from Australia. Matthew, hey man. Chris Freemeser, 6th Street Garage. Charles Dalton, Beagle Bob. Wow, you're all in. Stephen Bunky Bird waiting for Kiwi action with bated breath. Oh, well, I hope they won't disappoint. Andy Nickel, you are here early, mate. Yeah, you beat me here. Well done. Paul Funk, good evening. Driveway misfits. Unlike our host, you're right on time. Yes, well, I was on time, but I was downstairs in the man cave and it would not connect. So I had to grab everything up, and including my bourbon, and scurry up the stairs, and it came to life. So, yeah. That man cave and lives just don't seem to go together. But that's how it goes. Andy Nicolai, you missed last week, mate. Andy, I missed last week as well, so you didn't miss a thing, in actual fact. Charles Stoughton, Kiwi catching strays, and he's not even here to defend himself. Well, that's right. No, I wasn't, was I? I am now, though, so it's all good. Barry Cooter, hey, good to have you here, mate. We've kind of missed you there for a little bit. Tech bits and pieces. Finally get to see the Kiwi live. Yes, well, like I said, I hope it's not too disappointing. Tough, probably no, mate. I did not spill my bourbon. Here it is. It's in good hands. LVG, great to see you back in the saddle. Yeah, it's good to be back. I was feeling a bit rough last Tuesday, so I had to kind of bail. So yeah, I think I was I was out to sleep by about 8 o'clock last Tuesday. I was I'd been better, but I'm good now. So it's just one of those 24-hour things, but it just chose the wrong 24 hours, really. Tech bits and pieces. You need a signal booster for the man cave. It's actually got a signal booster in there. I'm still doing it through my phone because it just will not work on the house Wi-Fi. And supposedly we've had the people in and checked it, and the house Wi-Fi has got super strong signal, but damned if it works. Works for doing everything else, but not live. Andy Nickel, thought you slept through it, mate. No, I kind of did, but yeah. Todd Denio, welcome along, mate. So, what's been happening, guys? Who's got their car going, and who's pulled the car apart? What's been going on? Stephen Carter started as a body man. Ooh, where'd that go? Oh, you retracted it. There you go. Didn't get to finish reading it. All right. So we have Kev was on the. He's here, but I don't have a place to put him. So he's off camera, but he's there and he's listening. There you go. So Tavo, I've seen a couple of your videos, mate. Looks like you're making decent progress on that Valiant. Slow and steady. That you'll get there, mate. That's good to see. It's good to see. Chris Freemeser, wow, they let Kev out of El Salvador mega prison. Yeah, he just bribed a couple of guards with some kiwi fruit and he was on his way. Barry Cooter, have you seen that new jeans ad with the old GT350? No, I have not. What brand of jeans is that? Kev could perch on the fridge, keep watch over the beer. Indeed. Old timer, been wrenching on my logging equipment. Just what I want to do when it's 95 degrees and muggy. Yeah, mate, that heat is killing me at work. Yeah, but the swamp cooler's going as hard as it can, but it's just kind of too hot and humid for the swamp cooler to keep up in reality. Tavo, very slow. Other stuff is taking priority, even still too slow. Yeah, I know. It gets frustrating sometimes, doesn't it, mate? But, that's just the way it is sometimes. You just kind of got to push through it, mate. Just push through it. Tech bits and pieces. Always tinkering with the Chrysler van I own. Front end suspension got a rebuild after it hit 500,000 Ks. Wow, yeah, that's a lot of miles. That's about 300,000 miles in American terms. Stephen H. Bunkybird, what videos are coming up? Okay, what videos are coming up? Got that Camaro back in, the one with the non-working Holly. We got sent it away, got it all upgraded to Sniper 2, and actually got it running today. We had a little glitch along the way, but that was an input error. Basically, the information I got for the distributor, it wasn't what it told it was not what it really was. But once we got that straightened out, it fired up and it ran great. And it was actually, I'm not going to go as far as saying I'm like a big supporter of these snipers. I haven't jumped camp, don't get me wrong, but does seem like they've made some good strides forward with that Sniper 2. It was pretty straight. We had to rewrite the whole program again, from start, like it was a brand new unit. And it really is a brand new unit because it's an all new throttle body, new processor in it, different fuel system going through it, and it is really a brand new unit. So we've got a video on that coming, test drive, that kind of thing. And what else is going on? We got Steve's 54 Chevy in the shop. Right now, we just wheeled it in tonight. Actually, took the Camaro out, brought his car in, and we've got a few. We're going to do a good video on that, kind of show you what he's been doing to that over the last bunch of years, and what the plans are. He's kind of getting. Can't really say he's close yet, but it's close-ish. So he's got a few things to do, and he's probably be able to get it fired up soon and that kind of thing. So we're going to go through all that. And I'm going to hold the camera and I'm going to stick him in the front of the camera so guys get to know Steve. So that should be a bit of fun. That, and I've been working hard on the shop as much as in the shop, trying to make some room, get rid of some junk, get rid of some stuff I've been hoarding, because I think all of us car guys are have a little bit of the hoarding gene built into us, I've been kind of a little bit of self-examination on that and seeing what I really do need, and when it's half an inch deep in dust and hasn't been touched for 6 or 8 years, it's probably time to go. So anyway, the upshot of that is making room to get the little Alpine uncovered, unburied, and actually start working on it. We're going to do an intro video on that. I'm hoping to film that this week, and we got a few videos to do this week. We've got to try and do this Camaro. We're going to try and do Steve's car and the Alpine, and I'm hoping to fly the Alpine, or roll the Alpine video out on Saturday morning. Do that Saturday morning spot. So that's what's coming up. Stephen Carter, Marge is in charge. Love it, mate. On Large Marge, nothing's really happened with her at all, other than I've been researching quite a bit, after hours as to this whole stroker kit deal, and ran into some fairly decent obstacles, but I do believe we've got it figured out, and that will be a video of its own. I'm kind of doing it. Talked to a few guys, and really, they were quite polite, but really what I'm trying to do is do it the hard way, because I'm trying to keep the old cast iron torque flight, trying to keep the original 59 block, the block that's original to Marge. And really, if I wanted to do it quick and easy, or easier, I would get the later model poly block, which the 727 aluminum housing 3-speed auto goes onto. You can get them from like 62 to 65 or 6. They're push button torque flights. They'll go in, they'll work with the push buttons on the 59. You just have to add a park feature. My old cast iron TalkFlight does not have park, so you've got to kind of add that in there, and you've also got to mess around with the park brake or the e-brake because, as most of anyone knows, seen a 727, they do not have the e-brake hanging on the back of the transmission like my old TalkFlight does. So, so there's some stuff to change, but the reason for doing that is it makes it a lot easier to mate it up to the LA stroke crank. So yeah, but there's what can I say? There's always a solution to the problem. You just have to figure it out, and it has to be affordable to some degree. I am going to have to get an adapter made to go between the crank, the LA crank, and my old torque converter that goes, that I have to use with the TalkFlight transmission because it's different to, the 727 torque converter. So yeah, there's some custom machining that's going to have to be done by somebody fairly clever, and accurate because we've got to adapt. The crank's shorter on the LA, and so we've got to put an adapter that goes from the 6-bolt attachment, of the flywheel or flex plate to the back of the LA crank to the 8-bolt attachment of the stock torque converter. So there's and obviously get the spacing right and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a little bit to figure out. There's going to need to be someone pretty good in the machine shop, and not me, to make that for me. So yeah, if you know of any really good machinists, let me know. Someone who likes a challenge, because it will be a challenge. There's very little room to make this spacer, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, where will we up to? Beagle Bob. I think it's been since the last love that I got my power stroke back on the road. Last live. Only about a month to rebuild the turbo is not too bad for me. There you go. You rebuilt it yourself. That's pretty good. I wouldn't mess with a turbo personally. They're pretty they're quite durable if they're done right. But yeah, they're pretty. It's all minimal tolerances and clearances, and yeah, it's another little science, the whole turbo world, as I understand it. Paul Funk, 98, here in Fruita, Colorado. Huh. Tavo, what are you drinking, mate? What's that bourbon? Barracuda, I think it's American Eagle jeans. First time I've heard of them. Okay, no, I've heard of American Eagle. Okay, I have to look out for that. Andy Nickel, do you have anything like security cameras that's online? No. Or Mrs. Kiwi online? No, she's not home. Or appliances, TV. Have got the TV on. That's just, it's just over there. Muted. But yeah, I don't know whether that would, how much space that takes, but yeah. Tavo, AU. My Carter Carby and Points Dizzy seem to be working fine in the U. Oh, okay. Cool. Points work fine. I mean, I do like the electronic ignition. At the same time, you'll never catch me saying they're junk, they're rubbish, but they've done, can you imagine how many billions of miles cars have done with points? So yeah, they're not a bad idea. They're just a little bit more maintenance intensive than electronic. Stephen Carter, should be 30 thumbs up, people. Experience isn't free. What do we got? 20 likes and 37 people. Well, yes, hit that like button. It does help. It helps the channel, helps me, helps everybody. So yeah, go for it, guys. Just helps, encourages YouTube to get it out there. They put a lot of importance on interaction between the viewers and the YouTubers, because that tells them that people are engaged. So yeah, please do. That'd be awesome. Todd Denier, I will stick with carburetors and old school ignitions. Yeah, I mean, I'm all with carburetors. I was having a little bit of a moment with that Holly today, where it was like, I really wanted to ring the customer up and say, come and take this, take it somewhere that knows how to work on these. But in defence of Holly, it was an issue caused, but at my end, kind of not the Holly. We had the wrong distributor entered into it. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get the right information about the distributor. And I got on the phone with Holly and told them what was going on. We worked through, resetting it up, running the wizard, they call it, where you put in all the parameters and specs of the engine and stuff like that. So we went through that step by step. We got to the distributor and he asked a couple of questions that I couldn't answer. And I'm like, okay. And it quickly became apparent that the choice I'd made, or what I'd been told, was the distributor wasn't. We identified the distributor by how many wires were coming out of it. The guy at Holly was very helpful. Had to sit on hold for maybe 10 minutes to get through, which is not too bad. I've been on hold longer than that with other company. And once we put the right distributor in, it all just came, told the ECU, the correct distributor that was in it, it all came to life and ran perfectly. Basically, started up, ran great. It had throttle response, backed it out, drove it around the car park. It's like, this is night and day. Drove it home, perfectly well mannered, drove it home. I'll drive it back into work tomorrow and send it on home. I think it's pretty good. Here we go. DDG reckons the Chinese BBDs are junk. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't laid eyes on or hands on them myself, so I don't know, but I have heard that. But you get a carburetor from China, Chinesium. I don't know how much they are, but for some reason I seem to think they're like $100 or something. Like, they're not expensive. And when you look at all the different parts in a carburetor, they should be expensive. And when they're that cheap, it's like, you're going to get what you pay for. So I certainly wouldn't disagree with DDG on that one, especially as I don't have first-hand experience with it. But it fits. You buy a bargain basement carburetor and it can be a bit hit and miss, Andy Nickel, I don't know zip about streaming, but I saw someone who had the same problem, and it was the kids playing games. Okay. There's no one playing games. It's just the TV is just on pause, or there's a Netflix show on there, and it's just on pause. So that shouldn't be really using too much. Tavo, I'm trying to downsize and organize, part of the prioritizing stuff. Also now on half income. Stuff is going wrong with the house, plumbing, etc. Oh, that sucks. It's never a good time, is it? It doesn't matter. Our upstairs AC's just gone out again. We've got to get that fixed. We're hoping that's not going to be an entire unit, because those are expensive. Tech bits and pieces. I've been known to hoard parts. Moved on quite a bit of R31 Skyline and A33 Maxima parts. So don't own these cars anymore. Well, that is a good reason to move the parts along. Yes. My problem is that pretty much everything I've got on the shelf could conceivably come in, because you just don't know what's going to drive in the door next week. There just comes a point when you've got to say no more. Charles Dalton, some call it hoarding, I call it saved another trip to the parts store. Yeah. But when you've got like 5 small block Ford standard distributors, it's like, that's probably enough spares. Probably 4 too many or 3 too many. So yeah. Right, hang on, let's roll back up again. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Driveway of misfits. Wi-Fi is great for short bursts of data, but suffers with sustained data transfer. Wired Ethernet is way better for that. Interesting. Because this house is wired for Ethernet. I wasn't aware of that. Okay. Interesting. Andy Nichols, see, I know nothing. Don't feel bad, Andy, because, yeah, that was complete news to me. Biggle Bob, I'm taking some time off work, spent this morning throwing stuff away and organising. Mate, it must be something in the air, huh? It must be. Tech bits. Large Marge vids are great. Watching it slowly transform from its current condition to something better. Yeah, well, that's kind of the aim. Todd Denier, Kiwi, take your Alpine and make it a Tiger. Appears to be off the table. Why do you say that, Todd? That's really kind of the plan. Is to make it a Tiger. A Kiwi version of Tiger. That should be fine. That's pretty much exactly what. I mean, it is going to be different to a Tiger because you'll kind of see my plans as we get the video launched. But yeah, it's gonna look like an Alpine, but it's going to look quite different to an Alpine when you look closely. If that makes sense. We're going to make a lot of very subtle body changes. Stephen Carter, you get mad respect. Keep Marge as close to OG. We get it. Yeah, it's I guess, it's a bit of a romantic notion, I guess, but I think we all suffer from that a little bit with our cars because it's all, memories that we make with these things. To drive it all that way and to survive the way she did, you guys have seen the problems that car had. And for it to make it the distance it did and then to just rip the guts out of it and just, reduce it to a shell and put everything new in it, I don't know, that car that carried us all that way is really not there anymore. Some of you, I think a lot of you guys get that, and there's some people that don't, and that's okay. But yeah, for me, I want to keep that trans in it. And someone says, "Is this what it came with?" And essentially, that's going to be true. Okay, it didn't come with a 390. But, some of them had, a little bit bigger polys and stuff like that from the factory. And, the 59 Plymouth Suburban didn't come with twin fours, but, some of the Plymouths did. So, yeah. And to me, the engine and trans are the heart and soul of the vehicle. But, tech bits and pieces. Last push button autos here in Oz with the AP5, AP6 Valiants, which were 65, 66 model years. Yeah, that seemed to be like a big change stateside as well around that 65.6. The push buttons went away here at the same time. The poly went away here then. Went to the LA, which I'm pretty sure that's what happened in Aussie as well. They went to the LA. Tavo, sounds like a bit of work going on for that converter to crank adapter. Yeah, it is going to be a little bit of work. It's just, honestly, I think it's just going to be finding a machinist that wants to do it, kind of sees it and goes, oh, okay, and sees a challenge in it rather than just seeing, a pain in the ass and not wanting to do it. So I've just got to find that guy that likes a little bit of a challenge, likes something a little different. That's actually going to stretch a couple of his brain cells. As soon as I find that guy, I don't think it'll be a problem. Stephen Carter, Jeep guys have your solution. Okay, what are you referring to there, Stephen? Not sure what you mean, bud. Beagle Bob, pretty simple, really. I bought a balanced assembly from a reputable company. Didn't measure a thing other than turning it by hand each step. Okay, I think I might have missed something here. Right. Tavo warming up here now. 4 degrees Celsius. Ooh, that's a little chilly, ain't it? What's 4 degrees Celsius? That's about 30, 38, 39 degrees Fahrenheit for the American viewers. So yes, it's pretty chilly. You wouldn't want to be outside in shorts and a t-shirt, put it that way. Well, Tavo might, these Aussies, never get out of a t-shirt or wife beaters, singlets. Just messing with you, Tavo. Sydney, it's just over 10 degrees C. That's a little more respectable. Phil Buckley, hey lads, Kiwi, just down here on Highway 1 Southland, looking at a 59 Dodge Coronet two-door for sale. It's a beautiful car. Yes, it is. Maybe your regulars will know where I am. It ain't cheap. Highway 1 and Southland. Yeah, I mean, I know where that is. I mean, that covers a fair bit of area, Southland. But yeah, 59 Coronet. It's a gorgeous car, two-door. And it's in New Zealand, so it's going to be high because of, there's a number of factors. Yeah, there's a lot of work in getting and importing a car like that from the States to New Zealand, a lot of hoops to jump through regulatory-wise, and which all just drives the price up. But if it's a beautiful car, here it's probably worth 40-ish. To the right buyer, which means it's got to be 80 in New Zealand, I would think. Tell us what the guy's asking. Tell us what you end up. Hopefully, if you end up paying for it. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what the guy's asking. Alan Trimble, greetings from Delaware. Great to have you back, Kiwi. I hope you're feeling better. I'm feeling much better, mate. Much better. So yeah, cheers. I wasn't in the mood for bourbon last Tuesday. Yeah. Barracuda, are you sure you were really sick last week, or were you in prison? You're supposed to give the orange t-shirt back. Mate, Barracuda, what is going on? Look at what's on that shirt. That's not just an orange shirt. That is McLaren. And McLaren are dominating Formula One. Absolutely dominating. The only really real question at the moment is which driver is going to finish first and which driver is going to finish second. That's kind of where McLaren's at. So yeah, I mean, it's not a New Zealand team, but its roots are in New Zealand. The guy who created McLaren race cars is a Kiwi, New Zealander, and it's long since passed. Ownership's passed over to English people. And the whole team's based in England. But their logo. I'll try and get in closer for you guys. Wrong way, wrong side. God, this mirrored camera is really confusing. This little logo here, this little arc-looking thing above the N, that's actually a Kiwi. That is the little symbol that it's very stylized. But yeah, that's what that means. That's what it's there. And if you look at the McLaren logos have changed over the years quite a bit, over the decades kind of thing, But you will always see there's always some version of that little. You think about it, it's kind of the shape of that. Kind of, hang on, you get this the right way. Yeah, it's kind of that shape. That kind of this. And that's what it's meant to be. So yeah, they're as much as it's English team, they're very aware of their Kiwi roots, which is cool. Makes me happy. I know that. Danny Boyd, g'day mateys. G'day. Tavo finally made it to grab that bottle of Scotch, Kiwi. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. You got to have a couple of those before you get into the plumbing on the house, don't you? I mean, yeah. Lane Conley, quality points and condensers are hard to find these days. Quality carburetors are easy to find. Yes, but you got to pay for them too, don't you? I think there's some that have got like Holly knockoffs and some other brand of carburetor they're knocking off, which are all cheaper. But a good quality quick fuel carburetor, is gonna cost you $600 easy. So, but I say when you look at what's in them, they take a little bit of making. Tavo, 125 Australian dollars for the Chinesium BBD down under. That's about $100 US. So I knew I had $100 in my head for some reason. Danny Boyd, machining is more important on a carburetor. Yeah. Yep. Stephen Carter, like button doesn't hurt, I promise. Thank you, Stephen, for being a supporter. I appreciate it, mate. I do appreciate it. Getting a bit behind here. Now, here we go. Beagle Bob, Tavo, you probably should have bought a beer truck or whiskey truck like the Red Chevy from the other day. You barely ever go. If you barely go. Yeah, that's very true. That's not a great truck. That 40 Chevy, it's not. It could be, but it's right now, it's not. But can't make them all perfect if the people don't have the money, But talking to the guy, he's gonna keep coming back, and he's gonna get just a little bit at a time, And at least he's not, in his defence, he's not spending money he doesn't have. So and that's something that happens too often these days. People just get another credit card and spend more money. It doesn't always end well, End of time, I was having mechanical fuel pump problems, replaced with electric, and it's failing after a few days. I replaced the gas tank, sending unit, cleaned the lines with new hoses, even a new carb. And what's happening? What you say the electric pump's failing after a few days? It's just stopping, just stops dead, or you say failing as opposed to failed? I'm not sure whether there's a difference there, whether it's just like not pumping enough fuel or just cut out. End of time, is it pulling in air or something? Yeah, well, that will stop a perfectly good fuel pump from working if it's sucking air, and it can seem like the fuel pump's not pulling, and in a way it's not pulling because it's pulling air, which is much easier to pull than fuel is, obviously. Now, the other thing to think about, depending where you put your electric pumps like to push, right? They need to be close to the tank or in the tank. Like, that's about as close as you can get. But typically, just really close to the tank, they don't like to pull. They're quite happy to push. The mechanical pumps are kind of the reverse. They will pull, from the back of a 20-foot long car. But yeah, the electric one's not so much. So that might be part of the reason that your electric pump's failing. It might just be struggling to actually pull the gas through. Basically, electric pumps need a head of fuel. They need a constant supply to them, like a gravity almost supplied to them, and then they will push all day long. So yeah. Oh, okay. Chris Freemess is just touching on the same thing. Yep, you're on the same wavelength as me, but yeah, pumps push better. Okay, I'm reading down and just repeating myself. Fans pull better. Same with fans. Yeah, they pull better than they push. Yep, I hate fans in front of radiators. For me, that's like a no-go, unless you just have no room. End of time, under near the tank. Well, that's where it should be. I'm wondering how many sets of Valiant bonnet hood hinges are enough. Depends how many Valiants you've got, I guess. But yeah, typically one set per car is enough. They're not a high. They do wear out eventually, but they're not a high wear item. Beagle Bob, is there an advertisement on your fridge? No, there's nothing on my fridge at all. See, just a little place to get ice out of for your bourbon. Okay, what do we got? End of time, loud and getting hot. The fuel pump. Not having fuel running through it will get them hot. I'm wondering if you've got a pickup issue from the tank. Yeah, when they don't have fuel in them, they get louder, and the fuel actually acts as a coolant for them. Believe it or not, it sounds weird using flammable gasoline as a coolant, but that's exactly what it does. It actually cools the little electric pumps down. That's why they say, with all these modern day cars with the fuel injection and the pumps in the tank, and I'm guilty of doing it, I'll give you that, but they say you should never run it below quarter of a tank because it starts to overheat the fuel injection pump that's in the tank because there's not enough gas in the tank to keep it cool. They will run all the way to empty, or almost empty, but they also have a habit when that happens, like it's happened many times where people have been, powering on down the interstate, getting low on gas, lower, and then we'll just make it to the next, we'll go 2 more exits and we'll get gas. So they rock in there and they're like the needles bouncing on E. They shut the car down. The fuel pump's hot as hell, and they dump 20 gallons of cold gasoline into it. And so all this cold gas hits the fuel pump and it doesn't like it. It doesn't like that sudden contraction through the cold. And they go to start it again, no fuel, won't start. That's happened many, many times. So yeah, the cure for that, and a lot of guys who mess with those things regularly, which I don't, but those guys have told me, don't ever run your fuel injected car below quarter of a tank. Stephen Carter, AC, plumbing, and electrical are all sucks to repair, and money suck as homeowner never ending. Yep, I agree. Beagle Bob, was the pump made to go inside of the tank? Yeah, hopefully not. Pumps like that are pretty hard to mount externally because they've usually got none of your typical external mounting brackets on them. But if it is, that's a problem because they desperately need to be submerged in fuel to keep them cool. Barracuda, I actually can't see much reason for buying a Chinese BBD as long as there are rebuild kits for the originals. Well, this is true. The original, and even if there's not that, it's really only the throttle shafts that will wear out on a carburetor, and that takes a lot of miles to wear them out. And you can rebush them if you're going to do a true rebuild. Tech bits and pieces. Never enough Valiant spares to keep unless space is an issue. Well, space always becomes an issue at some point. End of time. No, a Holly outside pump. Okay, well, a Holly pump's bloody noisy anyway, even when they're brand new. But that, I'm not sure what's going on there for you, bud. But yeah, it kind of leads me to think that there might be an issue with your pickup somehow, just not wanting to pull through. But I think you did mention something about that. You had to send her out and cleaned it and stuff. So yeah, not 100% sure what's going on there for you, mate. Steve Sadusky, hey, welcome along, bud. Good to have you here. Driveways misfits. Sometimes they go bad mechanically. OG carb on my Beetle started leaking out of the throttle shaft. No real fix for that. Oh, really? Okay. Haven't messed. I've never actually wrenched on a VW Beetle in my life, ever. I don't know why. That just hasn't come my way. But if it starts leaking out of the throttle shaft, Yeah, that's typically that's a sign of flooding because there's no fuel right by the shaft. Only what comes down through the carburetor and kind of puddles on the throttle butterfly, which can lead it to leaking out through the shaft. Sometimes the castings just get, they've been apart and together so many times, things get warped and bent and twisted and stuff like that. And sometimes they are just done. But yeah. Very Cooter, have you had any problems with Valiant bonnet hinges? I'm guessing he must have because he's got a lot of them. Todd Denier, Kiwi, I misunderstood and thought you were going stock. On Marge? Well, is that what you're meaning on Marge? Not bone stock, no. Not bone stock. It's going to be very stock appearing outside of the engine. But yeah, not sort of numbers matching is a bit of a... Yeah, I guess it will be numbers matching because it's got the original motor and trans. But yeah, there will be some changes on it over dead stock. But we're going to be dressing Marge up, not recreating her. She will be dressed up. We'll give her some nice makeup and some nice jewelry, but you'll still be Marge. Chris Freemesser, no joke. I'm in upstate New York and know people who wear shorts outside even in the depth of winter. Oh, no. Yeah. Barry Cooter, I forgot about the throttle shaft wear, and there are kits to fix that too. Typically with throttle shaft wear, you can get them rebushed, or do your own if you're game. Yeah. Phil Buckley, 35,000. Okay. New Zealand dollars in New Zealand. No, that's not a bad buy, mate. I mean, it's not hard to spend 50 grand on an old American car now, especially a Mopar. So it depends. It depends on the car. Like you say, it's a nice car, but is that because it's got nice bones, or it's like super shiny, or it's got a really nice interior, or one that's just not bad for a 60-year-old car. So yeah, is it on Trade Me? It'd be fun to have a look at that. Like, is it advertised somewhere? It'd be fun to see some pictures of it. Because to me, 35 grand, if it's a decent solid car and runs and stuff like that, that's pretty cheap in New Zealand, I would have thought. Freemesser. McLaren runs a prison. Who knew they were so diversified? Oh, good grief. Craig Nearing, I had got stuck coming into the chat. Hello all, you two, Kiwi. Hey, mate, good to have you along. Good to have you along. Stephen Carter, I heard they had quakes in New Zealand. Yes, they do. Are the folks okay? Yeah, I don't think there's been any. All my rallies live in around, Auckland, Tauranga. So yeah, that doesn't usually get hit by the earthquakes. They might feel them now and again, but a little shake, but nothing. Just what was that? You just feel a little vibration, but yeah. But no, nothing kind of devastating. Oh, man, it's extreme close up. Yeah, it was a bit, wasn't it? Plain Conley, I prefer what I call Invisi-mods to resto mods. Invisible upgrades like roller bearings and the idler arms, upgraded shock absorbers, slightly oversized exhaust, upgraded engine internals, look stock. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. That's the plan for Marge. Yeah. Stuff like that certainly helps. Yeah. And yeah, Marge has got a 2.5-inch exhaust, but it's all tucked up nice and out of the way and comes out kind of underneath the back of the rear bumper, so you really don't even see it, barely. So yeah, we're on the same page, mate. Tech bits and pieces. Bruce McLaren was very talented in his day. Yes, he was. Barracuda, Warrington near Blueskin Bay. Okay, never heard of either of those. Yeah, just shot down the page again. Here we go. Josh Homan, good to have you along, mate. Todd denied that stuff. Kiwi looks like a small Minnesota mosquito without wings. Oh, really? You got some seriously big mosquitoes up there, mate. I heard Kev was pulling on all the taps trying to get beer out of the beer truck. Mate, he was. He was. Yes. Chavo, that Chevy truck, if it was down under, would make a perfect Holden 1-ton chassis swap. Yeah, it would actually. It would. Jay Weiss, welcome along, mate. Hey, buddy, how you doing? End of time, Chris Freemeter. It's loud to the point where you can hear it driving and it's getting really hot. Not sure. I said it earlier. I think it's a pickup issue, potentially. Jay Weiss, I usually can't watch the live due to work. Have a day off today. Oh, well, that's cool. Oh, good. You decided to. I appreciate you. Taking time out of your day off to come and watch. So that's cool. Cheers. What do we got here? Barracuda bonnet hinges are a constant source of problems here. Mine are fine now. Wondering how many to keep. Always wanted posts for them on Marketplace. Okay. Huh. No one's like remanufacturing them, I take it, or rebuild. Like, what goes wrong with the hinges? Is it just the pivot points wearing? Barracuda, I think I've seen radiators mounted in front of support panels on some Tri-5 Chevys. Yeah, yep, they did. Some of those GMs around that era, the AC cars, the factory AC, this might be like a little bit more early 60s or 60-ish Chevys. But yeah, depending on whether it was a factory AC car or not, they were mounted in front of the core support or behind the core support. Apparently. What else have we got going on here? Jay Wise, WD-40 or Mr. Sheen, the hinges. There you go. That does help them move a little bit. Oh, okay. Alan Trimble, Barracuda. 6-cylinder Tri-5s mounted the radiator ahead of the core support. V8 cars mounted them behind. Well, that makes sense because 2 cylinders shorter on the V8. Driveway of misfits. What's the chance that the pump is connected to a smaller diameter fuel line than it's designed for and there's not enough fuel flow to keep it cool? Typically, there's a bypass in those Holly pumps. The ones I've messed with, they have a bypass in them that stops them over pressurizing if like particularly at idle. When the carburetor is using hardly any fuel. So they have a bypass. So even with a small fuel line and if it was causing a restriction, the bypass should kick in and let the fuel just do little laps inside the pump. Wonder if it's a voltage supply issue. Because believe it or not, a weak voltage supply to the back of the car could cause it to run hot because it's struggling on a weak voltage, and they actually, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's kind of, they will actually get hotter with a weak voltage supply. So those Hollies do pull some amps, so it does need a nice heavy wire running the length of the car to supply it. Really, yeah. That could be part of it. Jay Weiss, hey Kiwi, are you making up with Tony? Life is too short. Yeah. Yeah, I talked with Dr. Art a little bit because him and Tony are still tight, and yeah, I'm certainly not close to the idea. At the same time, I'm not going looking for him. And yeah, he knows where I am, and he knows the doors. He knows the doors open, but yeah, haven't heard from him. So check bits and pieces. I had a Holly Blue on an RX4 Mazda. It was a noisy bugger until it primed up, but the sounds blended in well with the Bridgeported engine and the Gilmer drive. Okay, that's a bit serious. Yes, I had a Bridgeported RX2 in my rallying days. Yeah, that was a pretty wild engine. Didn't come on till 7,000 RPM. They had a power band that kicked in at 7. It was too high. I give you that, but yeah, it had a sweet spot from 7 to 9, which made it a little hard to drive. I mean, it drove under 7, but it really the horsepower stepped up significantly when you hit 7,000 RPM. Yeah, end of time could be a gas tank venting problem. My cap is even new. Oof, so many things. Yeah, it's a pain. Todd Denier, Kiwi. I was saying I misunderstood on the Alpine and going stock on it. No. No. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that's the trouble with text. You don't always quite get it. No, the Alpine is not going back stock. No. That's going to be pretty custom, but still not custom as an outrageous look to it. But it's most people won't. This is the idea in here is a lot of people will look at it and not realize that the body's modified. The Alpine guys are going to walk up on it and go and just be completely confused. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I want to just baffle them, which is that's the goal. It's going to be 4 inches wider than a regular Alpine. It's going to be 4 inches longer than a regular Alpine. And if I can move what's in here onto the car, you're not going to be able to see where that's come from unless you actually know what an Alpine should look like. Like, I mean, in detail, not just a silhouette. Silhouette, it's not going to look very different at all. Hang on. The comments are coming in. Okay. Donkey, hi Kiwi. Donkey back in Texas. Good to have you here, mate. Awesome. End of time. Driveway of Misfits. A 70 sign Mercury Zephyr box top. 5-litre 5-speed. That's a cool car. LVG, woo. While listening in, I got the driver's side window out. Rebuilding the lift mechanism on the 60 T-Bird. It's a good day. Good on you, man. It's good to get shit done, isn't it? Like, you feel like you've achieved something and then it just makes you want to go and do something else. So, yeah, it's always good to make a bit of progress. End of time. Sorry, I'm not good at typing with one N over beer in the other. Priorities, mate. It's all priorities. And, yeah, you need a little bit of lubricant in one hand so that you can type with the other. Tavo, let sleeping dogs lie. Yeah, agreed. Alan Trimble, don't bother with Tony. He effed up, not you. It's kind of how I feel. That's why I say the door's open. Never say never. Never's a very long time. But yeah, if he wants, to chat, he knows the door's open. End of time, I'll check the wiring for the pump. It might be worth it, mate. You really want kind of probably 12 gauge wire to run a Holly pump over that length of, assuming your battery's in the front of the car. If it is in the front, then you really want 12 gauge to go that far to a Holly pump. JY say turbo, Mopar or no car. Exactly. Unless it's a Ford, then you can have a Ford. Paul Funk, check for voltage drop, especially ground side. I always check grounds. Ever having an electrical issue, check grounds. There's no buts, ifs, like check your grounds. Steve Sadusky, I wonder if the electric fuel pump is partially sucking air, causing it to run hot because not enough fuel to keep it cool. Look, it could be. It could be. Tavo, I had a heavily ported RD350 Yamaha way back in the day. That did absolutely nothing under 5,000 RPM. Then it all happened like flicking a switch. Exactly. That rotary I had was like that. It was like you hit 7,000. It was like you went from quarter throttle to wide open throttle, like in an instant. But your foot actually never moved. It was quite, and it was a problem. Like trying to rally if you dropped off the power band halfway around a corner and you're having a big drift through there, a big slide, and it's off the power band, and then halfway around the corner it kicks on, and it just kicked in with like another 100 horsepower. And that can make it a little bit of a handful, or quite a lot of a handful to drive. So, yeah, I bet it did on the Yamaha as well. I mean, you wouldn't want to be hitting that power band halfway around a corner if you're already, like leaning on it hard, There you go, I lost my spot again. I always do. Free message, does the fuel pump use a relay? If not, you could use the existing pump wiring as a trigger for a relay. Yep. That's an option. Yep. Especially, if the battery's in the trunk too, then you want a nice hot supply straight from the battery with a relay, triggering it. Beagle Bob, maybe try the pump just pushing into a fuel can, see how much it's pushing or if it's pushing at all. Yep, that's an option too. Just pop the fuel line off and let it run into a container and see if I think a Holly fuel pump's meant to be like 50 gallons an hour or something. It's about a gallon a minute, and see if it's actually achieving that. Vilefly, welcome along, mate. Good to have you here. Christopher C, 1980 truck dash. I've thought about covering it with fake alligator. Any suggestions? 80 Chevy. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Why not? Yeah, just a bit of a beer getting it out, really, isn't it? Are you talking about like the top dash pad or the actual kind of vertical faces where the gauges and stuff go? Tech bits and pieces. My Bridgeport RX3 had a modified 48 IDA. Yeah, same as mine. Taken out to 51. Oh, mine was just 48. It wasn't modified like that, but it was modified a bit, which made a loud induction noise at 9,000 RPM. Gilmer drive and induction noise. People could hear me miles away. Oh, you remember those days well, mate. I remember those days well. Barracuda, I always remembered there was a man who worked for Dunedin Council who trimmed branches back from the footpath. He used his 58-ish Dodge Kingsway. I sat in it on his smoko brakes. I was 4-ish. Oh, wow. That's a cool memory. 58 Dodge Kingsway. How cool. Lane Connolly, I knew a guy who put 6 Triumph Spitfires together so he could fit the Jaguar V12 in. A lot of TIG welding. Huh? Put 6 Triumph Spitfires together. I'm not sure what you mean there, mate. I've something getting lost in the translation there. 6-time Spitfire. So actually, you mean he cut up 6 cars to make it happen so he could get a V12 in there? Good Lord. I'm just adding 4 inches of material, not trying to put a V12 where a 4-cylinder went to go, just a V8. That's crazy stuff. Granddad's Junk. Hey, welcome along, man. Welcome along. Firefly, new equals never ever worked before. Oh dear. Aren't you just full of joy and optimism this evening, Mr. Firefly? Beagle Bob, if you choose real alligator instead of fake, make sure it's dead. Well, Beagle, aren't you just full of helpful suggestions this evening? I'm sure you hadn't thought of that. Driveway of Misfits. That Remu is nice looking stuff. It almost seems a waste to build a carport with it. Yeah, it does. Hey, Granddad's Junk, here's a question for you. The dash on the Alpine, it's a wooden dash. It's basically it's about a 3/4 inch piece of, I'm guessing it's oak or something like that. It's just a flat piece, and the gauges have just got hole saws buzz through them, stick the speedo and tack and stuff like that in there. It's a very simple dash, just an opening for a glove box in it. And I know like oak or ash or something is kind of the go-to thing on these British cars, but I think it'd be really cool to use Remu or some like a native New Zealand tree to make that dash out of. But I'm going to need a piece about 200 mil wide, 20 to 25 mil thick, and how wide? About 1.4 meters long, something like that, 1.3 meters maybe. So how can you get that style in Remu with the Remu being so protected like it is? Rogan Upholstery. Hey, good to see you here, mate. Nice to meet you and talk ideas today. Yeah, it was. It was a bit of fun. Yeah, I had a visitor day at the shop, Rogan Upholstery. And I was showing him Marge and the Alpine today, and we're talking over upholstery options on those cars. So, he left with a bunch of old upholstery books, which had come my way, and I kind of passed them on to a good home to an upholstery guy who can use them. So yeah, that was a nice, a fun little hour today. So yeah. Christopher C, the dash pad. I've already filled the cracks with expanded foam and shaped and cleaned the pad. Was wondering if you had any glue suggestions for fake alligator to dash pad. Yes, I do. You need a contact cement. It's called Landau Top Glue, and I think it's Wedgwood. I think it's Wedgwood that make it. It's Wedgwood brand. It's in a pale blue can, and you can get it online, like Amazon, I think, have it. But it's Landau Top Glue, like Landau, Landau Top Glue, and it's an upholsterer's contact cement. You need to spray it with a spray gun. You can brush it, but it's a bit of a bitch to do. But yeah, please do not use the 3M. 3M's normally good stuff, and they do an aerosol contact adhesive for upholstery. It doesn't stay stuck. It just doesn't. The heat will get to it on the dash, and the stuff will peel back. Guaranteed. You have to use what the professional use, and that is this Landau Top Glue. Because once that's glued, and like you put it on properly, and you let it dry properly, and then it's contact. A lot of people make the mistake of using contact glue. They wet it down, put it together, and wonder why it doesn't stick. You actually have to let it dry, not like next day dry, but you have to let it dry for 10, depending on the temperature a bit, but 10-ish minutes. And so it's dry to the touch. You might get a little tack from it, but dry to the touch, and then put it together and it stays stuck. You'll tear the material up trying to get it off. It will not peel. Guaranteed. But yeah, Landau Top Glue. Now let's go back up here. Granddad's junk. I know that's what we have. It's free and I have plenty of trees. So you're allowed to cut them down? I didn't think you were allowed to cut them down and mill them. Driveway of misfits. Yeah, think about contact cement. Yes, that's what you do. But just honestly, that aerosol stuff you get at the Nappers and O'Reilly's and stuff, it doesn't hold in an automotive application. There's too much heat in cars, and people use it, try and glue up headlinings with it, and it's good for a month, 6 weeks, and it starts coming down. Or even barely a week in the heat of 100-degree day, and your headlining's coming down. I promise you. They thin it down, and to make it work in an aerosol can application, they give up just too much stickability, for want of a better expression. Driveway of misfits. You could apply a veneer of some exotic wood on top of the OG wood. That's true. You could. Be nice to. Yeah, that's definitely an option. You're right. It would be nice to know it was in silo. I know that would mean a lot to Mrs. Kiwi. She's got a Remu chopping board, and like that's one of her favourite things that she has, because the solid Remu chopping board, and that came to America with us. And if we ever leave America, it'll be going with us wherever that is as well. I promise you, it will be. Like, she will not. She'll get rid of me before she gets rid of that chopping board. Granddad's junk. I can. They are my trees. I can cut you a piece and send it. Really? Okay, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that a bit more. I'll get you some. A little bit more. I'm guessing I'm pulling those measurements off the top of my head, but I'll get some better measurements for you, and that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Even you can even maybe send it to some from my rallies in New Zealand, and we can get it shipped from there or something like that, or we can pick it up next time we're back, or someone that's coming over, that sort of thing. Because it's going to be big and expensive to post. But mate, if that offer's there, I'd like to take you up on that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Beagle Bob, based on YouTube videos, I've seen contact adhesive is used for everything upholstery. Yeah, absolutely. Barracuda, how dangerous are alligators? I keep seeing these videos showing them on the golf courses and neighborhoods in Florida. It seems bizarre to me. Oh yeah, they're dangerous. They will kill people if they get the chance. They're not fussy. They take a lot of dogs, and kids are definitely a target because they're a little bit, depending on the size of the alligator. A big one will take a grown man, but it's got to be pretty big. But yeah, kids, like those places you're talking about, you don't let your kids go playing down on the water's edge. No. Unless you don't like them. Volfly, I don't think I'd want a crocodile on the roof of my wagon. Might attract a lot of lizards. Oh dear. Danny Boyd, Barracuda, you don't want to mess with them. No, you do not. You do not want to mess with them. End of time. Use palm tree wood for the dash. Yeah, I mean, there's so many options. I think like there's some beautiful timbers out there from different corners of the world. But being a Kiwi, it would be really cool to have a New Zealand native tree for the dash. And it's. Some people would probably go, whatever. But yeah, I know for Mrs. Kiwi that would mean quite a lot to her. Beagle Bob, gators don't usually mess with stuff that won't fit in one bite. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I thought they would take down bigger prey and then just tear them apart with that death roll. They'll clamp onto a leg or something and then just roll until it tears it off. I guess bite size is easier for them, but yeah. Not that I'm a gator expert, good Lord. Okay, yeah, thank you, Granddad's Junk. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm going to. Can you shoot me an email, Bud, and we can kind of get some more details going on over email? But that would be awesome if we could do that. Yeah, that would be awesome. Driveway, oh, I've missed something there. Tavo. Would Tavo, Australia, would biosecurity have an issue with wood? That's a good question. And then Chris Freemus is saying not if the lumber was kiln dried. Okay. Yeah, we might have to figure that one out. But just knowing that I can get my hands on someone, then we'll figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember years and years ago, a guy I knew bought a lot of land, like a plot or, some acreage of land, like 5 acres or something, and it had a lot of carry on it. It was carry or Remu? Carry. Might have been carry, which is another native timber. And that was protected, and it was shady. But what he did was he created a building site on the land, which he's allowed to do, so he could clear some of it, and then he cut a very overly long winding driveway, taking out the primo trees to in the name of creating a driveway for his new property, for his new building site, so that he could get the timber. And he kind of got around, found that loophole, and cut a bunch of trees down. Yeah, that's kind of how difficult some of that stuff can be to get. Alan Shildroff, just feed them marshmallows, the crocs. I've heard that. I went on an airboat once, years ago, not long after we got to the States. We were down New Orleans, I think it was. And yeah, did the crocodile tour thing on an airboat, and the guy was throwing marshmallows to them, and yeah, they loved it. He called it their crocodiles crack cocaine, or alligators, crack cocaine. Tawa, unlike crocs down in Oz, they reckon that leg will fit in one go and just take the leg off. There you go. Yeah. Strange Customs. Hey, welcome along, mate. Hey, finally made it to alive. You want to glue anything you don't want to let go, use Gorilla Grip. Okay. My caulking gun has had the same cartridge in it since COVID lockdowns, and it's still good to go. Wow. Okay. Good to know. Oh, okay, Tabo. Interesting. Just thought of that as we had issues sending big parts overseas on wooden pallets. Oh, they gave you grief about the wooden pallets. Wow. Actually, before I forget again, let me just put my email address in here for Granddad's Junk, and you can shoot me an email if you wouldn't mind, sir. There you go. So copy that one, Granddad's Junk, and shoot me an email, and we'll talk. Lane Connolly, I live in Florida. I seen them sunning on the road and bike paths when riding. I turn the bike around if it's warm out. If it's cool, I will ride by. Okay, they get pretty sluggish when it's cool. Huh. Yeah, well, they're a reptile, aren't they? So, yeah, the temperature affects them a lot, which is why they go out and sun themselves to warm themselves for blood up. Yeah, because they're cold-blooded, right? Volfly, I was right in the middle of a reptile zoo and someone was giving booze to these goddamn things. Good Lord. Fear and loathing in Las Vegas. Really? Wow. That's wild. Tech bits. Raining again. Now the temps here have dropped below 6. Ooh. Unfinished project. Having a bourbon, mate. Cheers. Cheers. Oh. Beagle Bob. Pallets and crates introduced the fungus that blighted the chestnuts. Ah. Interesting. Interesting. Very good. I was chased by a swarm of wasps once. Okay. So this is our. So I mean, yeah, strange creatures attacking us is the off topic of the night apparently. Tech bits and pieces. Wood pallets used for shipping overseas need to be treated to kill off pests, bugs, and fungus, etc. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we may have to just find out what needs to be done to that piece of timber and then get that done and get it sent, you know. In the home shop, Kiwi, hope you are well, sir. Haven't chatted with you since we worked together on Kevin's Miata. Oh, right. Yeah. I'm the long, tall head fella that was there. I remember you, mate. Yeah, how you doing? I remember you. Yeah, that's a while ago. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Oh, that was a movie. Okay. Volfly. It's a crazy movie. The movie being Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Right. Huh. Very cool. Well, I've actually caught up with the messages. How about that? That's unusual. Right, need some more now. Oh, look at that. We got 51 likes from 41 viewers. You guys are doing well on the likes. Awesome. Ezra. I have an 85302 HO with some issues. I'm beginning to wonder if it may have the wrong water pump on it or timing cover, reverse or standard. Any thoughts? I mean, it's happened. It's happened. What are the issues you're having with it? That's the question, really. I'm guessing you've got an overheating issue of some kind. If you have it on wrong, it's usually fairly apparent. Well, not on wrong, but if you have the wrong pump on there, like a reverse direction on, and it's not meant to be, then it usually becomes apparent fairly quickly that it's wrong. But yeah, without knowing a little more detail, it's a bit hard to say. Very good. And I got my finger bitten by a Maori chief. He wouldn't let go. Oh my God. That's a bit culturally insensitive, Barry. In the home shop. All is well here. I hope you're well too. Mate, yeah, any better, I'd be dangerous. That's the saying goes. Yeah, no, it's good. Super busy at work. But, getting things done. So, And what's happening in the home shop? What you're working on there? Max level gas in Boston, $2.79 this week, mate. That's cheaper than here. Yeah, we're up and around the 340s. Nearby, anyway. Danny Boyd, Ezra, should have reverse rotation water pump as long as you're using the serpentine belt system. Yeah. Firefly, a random access book at that. Beagle Bob, was there an HO in 85? I think there was. It's right around when they started, though, wasn't it? 85, 86? I think. I wouldn't bet a lot of money on it, but Driveway of misfits. I'll toss out a tech question. Power steering at low speeds. Wheel binds when turning one direction, then releases. Possibly internal seal leak in the rack and pinion. Binds when turning in one direction. What would that be? Yeah, it could be something in the valving. I've got to change out the power steering box in Marge because that when you go full right hand lock, hard over to the right, it sticks there, and you've got to pull it back. And it's something in the valving, because if you go over to full lock, let it stick there, and then turn the key off, like to stop the engine, stop the pumping, the steering will then roll back like half a turn. So it's something in the valving. Yeah, I've got to delve into that when I've got the box off. So. Oh, okay. Danny Boyd, Beagle Bob, 82 was the first HO. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I've not had a lot of. I mean, I've put a number of reverse rotation pumps on Fords. When I put the serpentine drive on. But yeah, that's really my only dealing with those. And obviously the serpentine belt, the water pump runs on the back of the belt typically. So yeah, it runs in the opposite direction. In the home shop, got a 66 Le Mans in doing for a high school buddy and his dad, hoping to get it all in primer by September. There you go. Yep, nice car. Le Mans. Did you see that GTO we just had in about a week ago? Gold one, which is kind of Pontiac's version of the Le Mans. That was a nice car. Tavo, we're hovering around $2 for regular unleaded per litre. Yeah, 4 litres to the American gallon. So you guys do the math on that. It's $8 a US gallon, roughly. And then there's the exchange rate. Take bits and pieces, Barracuda should not stick out your finger, that way you won't get it bitten. Yes, some truth to that. He may well have figured that out by now, but hey. Josh Homan, how on earth could gas be cheaper in Boston than in Tennessee? Yeah, well, you explain that one to me, mate. I can't. Danny Boyd, all 302s with serpentine belt use a reverse rotation. Yeah, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, but I think the actual timing cover housing is. Oh no, it's probably not actually. I don't think the timing cover housing is different. It's just the water pump, because the water pump has a backing plate on it. So yeah. Beagle Bob, thanks guys. Learned something on most of these. Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, between all of us, there's a bunch of knowledge here, Stephen Carter, Hunter S. Thompson, reflection of racing wide open. Okay, what's that about, Stephen? Volfly. Oh, the switch to the serpentine belt system was a surprise for a few. Right? Yeah. I bet that did cause some drama when they first, started getting replaced. Volfly, pull off a heater hose from the thermostat or intake area, start it up briefly, and see if you have flow out. That's a good idea. That's a good way to test it, yeah. Danny Boyd, not sure if I prefer serpentine or the old style V-belts. They both have their pluses and minuses. If you've got multiple power accessories, as an alternator, power steer, AC, you, in my opinion, you really need to go to serpentine belt. It's a bit of a pain getting. If you're going to have 3 accessories, you need 3 V-belts, because one V-belt generally doesn't like running 2 accessories. There's just not enough grip in the belt. And the V-belts that you buy today are not as good as the ones in the good old days. Because they don't make as many V-belts as they used to, that's not such a high priority. And Yeah, a lot of the V belts are not that great, and they stretch quickly. And if you really crank the tension up on them, they'll break. So yeah, if you've got the minimal accessories, like an alternator and a power steering, a couple of V belts, you're good to go. But you get into 3, and it's just it becomes a lot. Granddad's junk, the 54 custom line is nearly going. Wow, that's going to be cool to see. That will be cool to see. Chris Freemason, my 85 LeBaron has both V belts and a serpentine belt. Huh. Interesting. I didn't know they ever did that. Beagle Bob, when does the serpentine belt stop being serpentine? My 2019 Coyote has at least 2 belts. Yeah, they're probably two 17s, but hey. The manufacturers like the serpentine belts these days because there's less tension on them, which causes less drag. And anything to get an extra 1/10 of a mile to the gallon. Chavo, we had that in the 90s on Falcons up to ED 94 ran V belts. EF went to cert belts, had reverse rotation water pump, which looked and fitted identical. To confuse issues, both were available without pulleys. Yeah, that was a trap, wasn't it? Oh, that was a single overhead cam 6. Okay. Stephen Carter, author of Fear and Loathing, is Stephen S. Thompson, a legend. Yeah, I got you. Okay, very cool. Lane Connolly, Boston, Massachusetts has an income tax. Tennessee does not. Similar situation with Georgia and Florida. Georgia has cheaper gas and an income tax. Okay. Yeah, we got no income tax in Tennessee. This is nice. Very good. By the way, the Maori chief was a fish. I may have led you astray. Well, just a little. Just a little. Oh, dear. Todd Denio, US gallon is 3.78 litres. So 3.8 litre engine displaces about 1 gallon. Yes. Yeah, I always just, say 4 litres. It's pretty close. It's weird the way the US gallon is different to the imperial gallon, which is 4.4, I believe, or it's probably 4.4 something, 4.378 or something. Yeah, but around about that. But yeah, it's about half a litre more-ish. Daddy boy, I've had bottles of Mountain Dew that displace more than my Toyota. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Yes. I had a T-shirt about that once upon a time, and it said, 2 litres is the size of a soda pop bottle, not an engine. Something like that. It said it was quite, and a picture of a V8 on it. Chris Freemason, yep, 17 drives a water pump and alternator. Oh, excuse me. 1 V belt for the power steering, another V belt for the AC compressor. Seems an overly complicated way of doing it, doesn't it? Oh well, I guess it works. I think that's the one you've done a lot of miles on, I think, isn't it? Granddad's junk, Tava. Remember the cast iron 4.1 crossflow engine? I actually have a run. Oh wow. Yep, that's an older engine now, isn't it? Taro, 4.54 litres. Okay. There you go. Taro, Granny's junk. Remember the push rod crossflow well. Yeah, that was kind of the first correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's kind of the first Aussie evolution of that 250, Falcon that they have so many of, or 250 Ford engine, not so many in Falcons here, but the 250 Ford was a popular engine here. But yeah, they never went overhead cam with it, not here. But yeah, when you guys went to the overhead cam in Aussie, that was the first real Australianizing of it. Yeah, tech bits. Yeah, cast iron sixes were here from 144 to 250 cubic inches. Most seem to run forever. They were pretty bulletproof. You very rarely ever see one broken. I had one 200, a young guy, like he was like 16 or 17. He broke the crank, or threw a rod and broke the crank on a Mustang 6, and I can only assume he was revving, the hell out of it, because that was a very hard engine to break. It didn't make a lot of power, which was a saving grace, because nothing in the engine really worked very hard. But yeah, this young guy just revved it to death. Tavo, my Neon's a juice bottle, has 2 rib belts, one for the alternator, one for steering and AC. There you go. They perform very well. The 265 should have been crossflow. Yeah, I wonder what that would have gone like. Todd Denier, I used to have an Imperial gallon bottle of whiskey. Huh. Interesting. That's a big bottle. A big ass bottle. Yeah. Driveway Misfits. The LeBaron is the one I've been working on getting back on the road. Rust-free, but sat indoors for 20 years. Oh, that's nice. That'd be a cool car to own, because you just don't see them anymore, just cool to have. I mean, it's not, some who are, one of 500, super high performance, mega dollar car. But, I bet it gets a fair bit of attention when you're out and about in it, because you just don't see them anymore. And it'd be a fun car to own, I would say. Paul Funk, this Saturday I'll be riding my bicycle next to the I-70 in Glenwood Canyon. If it's cool, it's the coolest stretch of interstate in Colorado, if not the country. There you go. Riding your bicycle. They make motorbikes, right? You can have an engine on a bicycle. Just saying. That's the problem I have with bicycles, is you got to pedal the shit out of them. And it's not really my speed. But I know it is for a lot of people, so I'm just messing with you. Danny Boyd, Ezra, do you have the firing order correct? Ford 302s use 2 different ones, and the HO 351. Yeah, a lot of people have been caught by that. That's a good point. A lot of people have been caught by that, because if you do a quick search, of 302 firing orders, if you're not paying attention, you can miss the fact that there's some options. Good point. Tavo, Barracuda, springs break or drop off, but more often they seize. I've known people bending their bonnet in half trying to close it. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot on a lot of different cars. They just pull and I'll just pull a little bit harder, and then the hoods just give. Like they just reach that break. Not that they break, but that point where the metal, bends, and they fold real quick. And it's like they're just unsavable at that point. They're pretty much irreparable. But once you've done that to the hood. Danny Boyd, I lived almost next to the I-70 in Clayton, Ohio. There you go. Stephen Carter, loved Tennessee. I was stationed there. Best home folk ever. Took me to the homes for Sunday dinner. Felt like I was at home. Well, that's cool. Yeah, no, they are pretty welcoming. That's true. Ezra, it almost seemed like it may be making too much pressure and blowing out the gaskets. It has breathers, no PCV on the valve covers. Barry Cooter, keeping them well lubed seems important. That applies to a lot of things, mate. That applies to a lot of things. Tech bits and pieces. First overhead cam 6 was in the EA Falcon, which was a 3.9 if memory is correct. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why they made that change from 4.1 to 3.9. I'm not sure what that was about. Lane Connolly, 144s, 170s, and early 200s were 4 mains. Yeah, went to a 7 main bearing, yeah, which was a much better engine. NZ Guy, the old Cortina, love it. There you go. Yeah, they were great old cars, the English Cortinas. Some of those old Mark 1 Lotuses are worth a lot of money now, aren't they? Yep. Ezra, okay, firing order is correct. All right. 240 and 300 have 7 main bearings too. Okay, that makes sense. Tavo, we did mess with the Ford Logger 6 earlier, first by making a 188 and a 221 version, then the 250 2V head. Yeah, I've heard people mention that 2V head. They're quite sought after here. Tech bits and pieces in Oz, we never got the 300 cubic inch. No, well, that's, yeah, I mean, yeah, big engines were not kind of, it was always a gas consumption, fuel consumption thing, wasn't it? There's why not many, not many 350s found their way into Holdens. A few of the Monaras and stuff like that, but 350 was really, I think, was perceived by the masses that the 350 was just too big of an engine. People seem to like the 5 litre. 5 litre seemed to be acceptable to the buying public, whereas you got into that 5.7 area, 350 cubic inches, that was kind of American car territory. That was my take on it back in the day. Strange Customs. Hunter Thompson done a documentary about the Hells Angels, hung out with them till his arrogance pissed them off and he got a slap. Yeah, that's a rough crowd to be hanging out with. That's a rough crowd. Danny Boyd, 302s are further complicated by the change of their imbalance from 28 to 58 to 50 ounces and 81, or was it 80? Oh, yeah, I don't know the year that happened, but I know there's 2 different engines. And yeah, if you've ever put the wrong flywheel on, you'll know within about 5 seconds of it starting up. You'll know you got it wrong. Now, Volfly tore down a newer GM 2.5. Crazy intake rocker arms that switch from 2 sets of lobes on the cam. Uses pushrod lifter holes to supply hydraulic pressure for micro hydraulic pins that unlock it. Yeah, they're so complicated. All that multi-displacement bullshit and the way the little pins move and lock a lifter in and make it work, and then we'll drop the pin, will drop, comes out, and very complicated and very susceptible to poor oil change maintenance. Like, if you're going to have one of those things, you've got to change the oil and use the correct oil grade all the time. Yeah, change them. What I was told is, change the oil a little before they're due, never after they're due, because all those little pins and stuff will get carboned up and won't work, and then you'll throw engine codes and horrible stuff. Danny Boyd, Strange Customs. I'd like to see that documentary. Don't know if I'm up for reading any of his books though. I used to be quite an avid reader, but I don't anymore. Don't know why. Just kind of end up watching YouTube or that kind of stuff. Valve fly, very taxing on the oil, that engine. The valve cover looks like a valve body in a trance. Yeah. Yep. I've seen the the 2. I've seen the Ford 2.5. Is it 3.5? Sorry, V6. I've seen a head cut up on one of those things, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Very, as you say, taxing on the oil. Tabo, Aussie Cortina TC Mark III got the 256. What did that go like, Tavo? I never ever got to drive one of those. I saw one and I saw under the hood, or a couple of them, but I never got to drive one. It didn't strike me as being a well-balanced car. That 6-cylinder just seemed a lot shoehorned into the front of that Cortina. A big long motor for that car. But I never drove one, so I don't know. But yeah. Driveway of misfits. So like the VTEC without the reliability. Yeah, that's a pretty good summation of it. Yeah. Taro, the 252V had a bolt-on intake manifold. Yeah, that's what I've kind of I've read a little bit about them, and yeah, they're very much in demand here because they have a bolt-on intake manifold. Well, they're very much in demand with the 6-cylinder crew, which is a small segment. It's a niche. But the guys that love, there's various forums on the 6-cylinder Fords and stuff like that. And they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff with them, a little bit like an Aussie. But yeah. Volfly, yep. Seen VTEC eat cans, neglect. Yeah, they you can't get away when you look at how many oil change Marge must have missed in her day with all the build up she had. Imagine trying to do that with a VTEC or a the 2.5 litre you were talking about. That wouldn't still be going in 60 years, would it? Tech bits. I had a 75 model TD Cortina with a 250 cubic inch in it. Had plenty of grunt through powder weight, but floated around suspension wise. Yeah, I got to say that doesn't surprise me. I always kind of scratched my head at that factory kind of option that they decided was a good idea to build. I mean, if you wanted a 250 cubic inch 6-cylinder car, why not just buy the Falcon? Why buy the smaller Cortina? To me, it didn't make a lot of sense. Other than it had plenty of power, power to weight ratio was great, but it wasn't really a good towing wagon. When the Falcon was a better tow car, and I'm sure the Cortina was faster than the Falcon, but if you wanted a fast Falcon, buy the V8 Falcon. I don't know. It just didn't, and it wasn't a particularly successful model. I don't believe they did make them, but I don't think they sold a huge amount of them. Volflow, they want $200 per VTEC rocker ampere. Wow. Ooh, that makes it a bit expensive, doesn't it? Tavo, yeah, they were a good straight line car, but nose heavy like the Centura 6. Ventura. I think you mean Ventura, do you, Tavo? Years ago, I was backing my immaculate, this is a Barracuda, backing my immaculate VK Commodore down a driveway with the door open. Oh no. The door got caught on the hedge. That repair kept me busy for a couple of days. Shit. Yeah, that'd be frustrating, wouldn't it? Steve Osgood, someone say Bergen? Yes, they did. They did. Someone did say Bergen. It was probably me. Yeah, shot down the page again. Here we go. Slip Kid 269. Hey Kiwi, got a 63 Falcon with an 89 347 roller. Nice. Having heat soak issues. It does have a cheap starter in it. Need to start there. Starter with bearings is my best option. Do blankets hold in heat? No, those starter motor blankets are actually quite good for keeping some of the heat away from the starter motor. 347 roller, I assume you got headers on it. The mini starters are a pretty good option because it gets, they're that much smaller. You've got that bigger air gap. So a good quality, small mini starter is a good option. But yeah, just get one. Again, don't get the cheapest one you can find. Get one that's got some good. You're better off with one with plenty of power for what you're trying to do, and then it doesn't work that hard. So yeah, the old mini starter and a blanket, maybe. If you get the mini starter that you can clock completely, and you can wind, make sure that it's as far away from the headers as you can clock it. Again, assuming you've got headers, well, I'm betting you do with the 347 roller. That little girl would scoot, I'll bet, 63. That'd be cool. That would be cool. I'd like to do that in a little Falcon convertible I've got downstairs, but I think we'll probably just end up settling for a 302. Because it's a 63 convertible that I've got, and it's not a hot rod. It's just a cool old car. Todd denied. Did anyone else see the high-end luxury car build Carter's Auto restyling just finished? It was definitely high-end. LOL. They were high on something. Oh no. No, I did not see that. Carter's Auto restyling. I have to go and have a look. Sounds kind of interesting. Driveway of misfits. Good reason not to trash your VTEC system. That's the trouble. Well, these tricky. I mean, we enjoy these VTEC motors. Like Hondas make some good horsepower, and these multi-valve, twin overhead cam, blah blah blah. Stuff. They're great engines and they make awesome power for their size and stuff. But yeah, it's like a high performance anything. You've got to look after it. It needs more looking after. Yeah. 2-liter engines that are making 200 horsepower, they're highly strung. They're highly strung. You got to look after them. Danny Boyd, Ron Flywheel learned me that lesson 33 years ago. My old beloved 82 Mustang GT. I had the 302 from a 79 LTD. Okay. Yeah, they vibrate pretty good, don't they? Pretty darn good. Tech bits and pieces. Yeah, the Cortina was nose heavy, which made it very average handling car. It, dare I say this without ruffling some feathers, but it made it a little American car handling. It was kind of a little bit of a leaf taken from that book, like from the American car makers book, a little in that, they were. And it's not really a rag on the American car makers. The American car makers built their cars for the road conditions that were here in America. And America has, for a very long time, been interlaced with interstates and big highways. And if you had a nose-heavy car that didn't really go around corners hard, it didn't matter because you didn't go around corners hard on the interstate. People wanted a car that would do 70 mile an hour, had plenty of power left if they wanted to overtake someone, and wasn't kind of starting to get a bit wheezy at 70 mile an hour. They wanted cars that had tons left at 70 mile an hour. And yeah, so it was a different product for a different consumer in a different market. And yeah, New Zealand, Australia roads, the windy, more turns. The public like cars that, and the same in Europe too. Narrow roads, windy roads. Okay, you got the autobahns and stuff like that. That's a thing. But for the most, a lot of the driving around Europe, England, Australia is narrow, twisty country roads. And Chev Impalas are not that at home there. But, you get a 1.5 litre little British sports car like a Sunbeam Alpine that made 63 horsepower. It was, you put it on American Interstate, it was a mobile chicane. So, yeah, it's horses for courses, But, yeah, that Cortina, the 6-cylinder Cortina, it seemed like, I don't know, like maybe they got an American designer over to Australia and he said, this is what you should do, put a big engine in it, which was a very American sentiment. And it worked well for them. But, yeah, it just didn't hit the market like it might have in Australia and New Zealand. Mopar Man. Speaking of Hunter S. Thompson, check out movies Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where the buffalo roam. Oh, yeah. Obviously, you guys I haven't heard of him before, but yeah. Did Hunter Thompson do a documentary on the 68 Democrat convention? Well, that sounds like a riveting read, doesn't it? I guess if you like politics, it is. Chris Femo, our kind of honour to design it with an audible warning system. Well, this is true. V6 had issues, not the 4. Okay. Danny Boyd, I pretty much refuse to read any fiction. Okay. Oh, fair enough. I mean, we like what we like, don't we? See, when I was reading quite a bit, I liked quite a bit of Stephen King, that kind of thing, which is definitely fiction. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I'll tell you, a good book. Well, if you like Stephen King, you should read, or that type of genre. The Christine, the well-known movie, was a fantastic book. That book, the movie was good. The book was much better, but the movie was good. End of time. I drove a Ford 200 inline 6 to the city and back today. Made it home, no problem. It's hot. It's a hot one out, but it did just fine in the traffic. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's just an effortless engine. It's not. It's never really works that hard. It doesn't. And how? Yeah, they're just a great engine that goes and goes. Josh Homan. I'm a recovering political junkie. Oh no, I've had my fill of fiction. Well, I see what you mean. Yes, a lot of fiction in politics. Yes. Danny Boyd, I drove my 240 down to the gas station to buy a couple of beers this afternoon, late afternoon. Fair enough. 240Z. Those are a cool car. Those are a car that took to the small block Chevy very well. The small block Chevy in the Z cars was a good conversion because the weight balance was still good. Because the engine was shorter, you could basically put it 2 cylinders further back, and they had such a long nose on them. The engine was well back in relation to the front axle. So yeah, they took well to the small block Chevy. Hunter Thompson claimed to be the only man to hang with Hells Angels and Richard Nixon. Good Lord. Oh, Ford 240. Okay, my bad. Funny what your brain goes to. Like, yeah, 240, I went straight to Z car. Tech bits and pieces. 2V heads are very sought after here for their older cast iron 6s here. Yeah, they're sought after here, mate. Here as well, mate. So Where's that gone? Oh, I went too far down again. Oh, man, we're nearly almost out of time. I better try and skip through these. Have a quick look. Danny Boyd, 1990s Ford OEM starter is your best bet, even from a junkyard. Oh, really? Okay. I like those high torque mini starters. I've had a very good run with those, but hey. Firefly, the so-called mechanic tried to lie about the oil changes, but the old machinist and I looked at each other knowingly. The argument was over. Yeah, that doesn't it. Yeah, the condition inside an engine does not lie about the oil changes. It does not. Paul Funk, in order to continue to be able to drink beer at my age, I need to get on the bicycle and go for a ride at high elevation. Okay. Danny Boyd, unless you need a clockable one. Yeah, I'd say I've had a golden run from the mini starters, the clockable ones. So, and to be fair, I'm typically replacing a 1960s Ford OEM starter or a 70s OEM starter. So, yeah, 90s, yeah. No, the 90s one may be a lot better starter motor. Barracuda, Talbot Alpine Tavo. We didn't get Centuras in New Zealand. I thought he was referring to the, and I was making an assumption, to be fair. I thought he was talking about the Vauxhall Ventura. I thought he might have been a typo because the Vauxhall Ventura had a 6-cylinder in it, whereas the Vauxhall Victors had the 4-banger in it. So I thought he was talking about the Ventura. But Tavo will have to clear that one up. Barracuda, bigger than the Talbot Alpine K180. Okay. All right. I've just not kept up. You guys are chattering too fast and I'm reading too slow. What do we got here? Granddad's junk. I don't have any favourite makes. I'm not biased, but Plymouth is the best. Well, it's hard to owning a Plymouth. It's hard to argue with. Mate, they all had their weaknesses. They all had their strengths, and some had better years. Some had better decades. I like most of them old cars. Todd Denio, Kiwi, if you can pull up the Carter's auto restyling videos, you will laugh until you. Oh, really? Okay. I'll have to look at that then. Carter's auto restyling. So that's a YouTube thing, I assume? Volfly. People are bringing these older cars to me more and more, just not this month for some reason. Yeah, well, there you go. Who knows? All right, guys. Well, I'm trying to just skip through the message here. Granddad's saying, hey, brother Kiwi, it's the bourbon working. Yes, it is. It is. I'm just about out here. I've tried to make it last for 2 hours, but, Mopar man, John Dodge. Someday people who own a Ford will want a vehicle. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, it's a great rivalry, isn't it? It's a great rivalry. Okay, guys. Well, we are out of time. I've missed a couple of your questions, but there's always next week. Everybody in Aussie and New Zealand cringed as Kiwi called it a 240Z and not a 240Z. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, I've become acclimatized. Everything's a Z now, not a Z. That's good spotting. You picked that up. Well done. All right, guys. Yeah, that's it for tonight. I'm going to bed. It's been a long, hot day. I will be back next week, in theory. we will talk then. In the meantime, take it easy. Try and stay cool. Don't kill yourself working on your cars, but try and get a bit done. Got to work on our toys, guys. So, yeah, get out there, have some fun, drive it around, crank up the AC, and have a good time. All right, take it easy, guys, and I will see you next week. Be good.